moving on to part 2. This gets even more complex. Part 2 is having multiple wives and concubines, etc. So in the first part, I talked about having multiple belief systems. This applies to literally any other practice paired with Christianity. So now the second part of this is going to be over the idea of polygamy. In the end of both parts, it will tie into one. So I've been seeing a lot of videos of people saying multiple wives and concubines are permissible, mostly on the basis that it occurs in the Old Testament of the Bible. So we could look at this from many directions that all point to the same truth, that is not polygamy, rather one man and one woman in marriage. But I want to focus on the whole picture. So order, I need a pencil and paper, this would be easier, so think of, we have God here, his image is Jesus, his image is man, his image is woman, so there's an order. God operates from order, Satan operates through chaos or disorder. This order is not to show order of importance, that's not the point of this, it's not a graph showing importance. Rather, this order would collapse. Simply, it just goes back to God. It's all about God. Think about it. So we have women here. Women collapses into man. Man collapses into Jesus. Jesus collapses into God. So this whole order literally all just points back to God. That's the whole point of it. It's about God. So different expressions of God. Every step is under submission, but God is the only authority. But Jesus is God, right? This can be confusing. So think of it as your mind is like God and your physical body like Jesus. Your physical body can only do what the mind first tells it to do, but they both are still you. Jesus is God. God is the mind. Jesus is the manifestation of his mind. So Jesus in this way is under authority of God. And then man is under the authority of Jesus, man being like God in nature. Then women is under authority of man, women being like Jesus in nature. It's all the same in order and expression. It all ultimately points back to God. We are made in his likeness and image. We were created to symbolize the greater truth of our creator, man and woman. Symbolize God and Jesus, which even further symbolizes Jesus and church. Jesus and the church, meaning the body of Christ. It all collapses into itself, which is simply just God. The man and women collapse into the church, which is under the authority of Jesus. Jesus then signifying the groom and the church the bride, which unites us together under God, back to restoration. We are separated from God because of sin. No human can see God and live. Jesus alone is able, is worthy, is holy, is spotless, of God, of heaven. That's why we must be united into Jesus to be able to be united to God. Man and women are not whole expressions in themselves, rather two natures of God separated into different beings. One man and one woman is paired together to signify a greater truth, which is humanity as a whole, paired back together with God through Jesus. Marriage is like a covenant between man and woman. What is a covenant? Or like humanity and God. So why this is good news? If God were shifty, if he would just change his mind like we do as humans, then we're all doomed. If Christ had multiple brides, the truth is all of us are representing one bride, one body, but the deception being that all of us individually are the brides of Christ, making polygamy the right way. That's a perversion. The body, the many, is to signify one, ultimately. Just like back to that order, it all collapses into one, ultimately. If Christ were to have multiple brides, let's say if it were the way that this deception has tried to paint it, where we're all different brides of Christ, like polygamy, that would mean that Christ is uniting himself to many different truths, rather than just one body, as in one truth. His body, the only truth. The whole thing is that there is no other truth. There aren't different truths. All different truths are simply just a lie by default. If there were any other body than his, that would make him an adulterer, uniting his own body, the truth, to lies. Another note, it's good news that Jesus is loyal to just one body, his body, because if he wasn't, all of us again are doomed. If he could divide the body, his loyalty, between me versus another person, doomed. Why? Because he could divide his loyalty to us based off of another person who maybe has lived more righteously than me, who has done better, who's made less mistakes, who prays more, fasts more, gives more, sins less, whatever it may be, then all of us would be in a constant state of worry that we aren't enough, that we're going to be replaced or outdone by another person. We have to compete against each other constantly to try to win Jesus' loyalty to us. If Jesus were like a polygamous relationship, that's how it would be. It's good news that Jesus is faithful to me, meaning no matter how I fall, in sickness or in health, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, no matter what, Jesus is faithful to me. Thank God for that, because I fall so short every day. If a marriage to God was based off my ability to be the best bride, if Christ divided his loyalty amongst us all as separate brides, we're all in big trouble. But it isn't that way. Like us, if we follow other gods, we join ourselves to them by doing their practices. That makes us adulterers. The word whore even is used in the Old Testament, which that sounds funny, but like it makes sense when you're understanding it in context. So it's using the Old Testament to show how Israel had broke their covenant with God and married themselves to other idols and gods and practices. When you follow and adopt, live out other practices besides what Jesus has taught, you bind yourself to them. So you either abide in Jesus' word and therefore unite yourself to him and the body, the whole body doing the same thing that unites the body, and the body to Christ and Christ to God. Is that all collapsing into each other again? Like I said in the beginning, we could attack polygamy from many different angles that ultimately lead to the same thing: one groom and one bride in covenant. The two become one under God in covenant. Covenant so that we will stay loyal and sacrificial in love to each other, that we won't go chase another man or woman because of our faults or weaknesses and trials, because of age and beauty fading and whatnot. So the only thing that breaks the covenant ultimately is adultery and death. So this is representing the greater truth of one body, or all the people who belong to God, united under him, with one groom being Jesus. This is the whole picture of the gospel in man and woman. In creation, the plan has always been restoration. This covenant through Jesus guarantees that God will not forsake us despite anything we ever do. The only thing that would break this covenant between God and us is adultery. So that's if we tie ourselves to another God, another way, another belief system, then you have broken the covenant in doing this. So we can see ultimately these two things tie together: multiple belief systems and multiple wives. They are pretty much the same thing: adultery to one truth, to one God. It's always been about one, ultimately. God. Many belief systems can't be one. Many wives can't be one. Rather, it's many people with one belief system that unites them into one, making the church one with Jesus. Collapsing it all into to God. Humanity restored to God. It's always been one. It's always been about God. Great is your faithfulness to me.